were 22 years old. We were married and had a son within a 3-month period. So, or 6-month period, something like that. So shotgun wedding. And so both my kids, Caleb's 23 now, and Nina's 18, first year college student. And I've been a disciple for 15 years, so they've grown up in the church. This is their family. And we've been in Richmond the whole time. And they both got baptized at 13. They both were 13. And so, so this is just very much family. And so when I was asked to come talk about this, like from a parenting adults, I was like, well, wait a minute. Nina's barely an adult at 18, and with Caleb, it's been about 5 years. So that's the gist of my experience, okay? It's about 5 years. But just thinking through that, and some of the voices that I'm tempted to listen to now, having an adult, and I want to thank the group to kind of bringing this in, because so much focus is on parenting toddlers and school agers and teens, which we needed. I benefited a whole lot in the past 15 years from that. But a lot of times, as parents of adults, you're kind of like out here, kind of like winging it.
It gets easier, it gets harder.
Yeah, I can, I'm gonna be all right, kind of thing. I had asked Tina a question, and she said, parenting adults is hard for a mama's heart.
Yep.
And a lot of that is stemming from, I think, for me, emotions, like the voice of emotions that go up and down, and things that stood out. And I heard Angela say was fear, so that voice of fear. And it's that sentimentality of you wanting to hang on to what you've had all this time, and now having to see it grow and become something different. And it's hard to watch them, and especially when those moments they make adult decisions, like Caleb, making these adult decisions, and things don't necessarily go the way that they planned. And I just want to be there and help and rescue him and save the day. And a lot of times it has to do with money at this age, like him not managing his finances well. And I'm just like, well, that's an easy fix. Instead of making him work through it, figure it out, I'm like, okay, here, I can give, we can, this is easy. You don't want him to suffer. And I'm getting better at that, but that's probably like my biggest downfall with him is just when he's in need, just being able to just show up and deliver. But then there's times when he's not even asking for my help, and I want to be the rescue. I don't want to see him suffer. As young parents, you lay down, what do they call those foam play mats, right? You don't want them to scuff their knee and all that stuff. But I still do that on an adult level, like. So what are your plans? So you're gonna move here. So how's that gonna work out? Kind of wanting to help him through that to prevent him from going through any suffering. But a lot of that really just stems from fear that I have. I just remember he was moving into his first apartment. He had got a job. I got him a job at Bank of America. Again, me helping him. Got him a job at the bank. He was making great money. Then after a year and a half, he decided, you know what? This is not what I want. I'm gonna follow my dream of being a fitness trainer. And he wants to go work at his new apartment. You're paying like $900 a month rent. Your income is going to go from, this to this. This is a commission-based kind of job. And we tried, even when he's not asking me, but I just want to protect him. Another fear that creeps in often is, will he choose the world over God? And this started probably in his teens, like high school, like just watching them and having that fear of, okay, are they on the verge of leaving God? He made a decision to take a job that he works Wednesday nights. So you don't see him on Wednesday. And then he works late on Saturday. So he's missing a lot of Sundays. So my immediate reaction can go worst case scenario. He got one foot out the door. He's on his way out. So what do I do about all that? Like, what do I do with that when I feel like my thinking is being dominated by my emotions, and I'm kind of on this up and down, because if I do that, then I'm up and down. I have these highs and lows of emotions, and I have to basically refocus back to God, that God is what's never changing, and that focusing, and I think Audrey, you mentioned this, is reminding myself of God's faithfulness. So where I can come back to a place of being hopeful for their future versus being fearful, specifically his future. And so in some of my better moments, when I'm trying to overcome these things and getting back to a place where I'm fully trusting God with them, is a prayer, of course. Not that we need to repress our feelings or kind of shove them aside, that they're ignoring them, but that to be open to God about everything that's going on, every situation, and praying for my own heart to come to a place of understanding. So Caleb wants to move to Houston in March, and he wants to continue to pursue this career of fitness training. And I know, Angela, you got sick babies that keep you up at night. You got crying babies. What keeps a mama up at night with an adult is these choices that they're making, and you're like, is he about to ruin his life? So that's what keeps me up. And I had shared this with another mom, and she said, journal out your thoughts to process what emotions is happening. I'm not a very good journaler, but I thought, okay, that's a great idea to do that. And having key scriptures that you can lean on to meditate on, to align your heart with God's character. And as far as, like I said, focusing on God's faithfulness, what helps me too is remembering everything He's already brought my children through. Yeah. When Nina was in elementary school, she went through, I think it was about 2 school years of just anxiety, and I've shared that with a lot of you. And I was like, what did we do wrong as parents? Like, where did we mess up? Did it happen when she was a toddler? Like, what got her here? And I just remember a lot of prayer and trusting God in that situation. But seeing her now at 18, how going through that has it molded her character. And she talks about it now, like it's funny because she doesn't remember a whole lot about it, but it's really defined her character now to make her a stronger, younger woman than she is going through that had she not gone through that. So just looking back at those kind of things. Another thing is just talking to them. One thing that I know I've worked hard at with my kids is making sure they understand this is a safe space that you can come and talk to me about anything and everything. And with Nina, our relationship, I feel super blessed. Like she's very open. She's open about her relationship with God, about her feelings towards dating and things like that. With Caleb, now that he's 23, I don't see him as much. He lives back at home temporarily, but I don't see him that often, and so when I do, I have to be very intentional about our conversations. Yeah. And recently, that fear was creeping in again about, him, where is he at with God, right? And a lot of his friends that he grew up with in the kingdom have decided to leave the church. And so that got really scary. And I felt like it was like all of a sudden, like boom, 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 this person's gone, that person's gone. And so, yeah, and so I was like, So, I just, I'm going to talk to him so that I can, because more often than none, I'll make assumptions about what's happening or going on. And then we talk and I'm like, okay, how are you feeling about your friends leaving? Where are you in your relationship with God? Where are you in your relationship with the church, with the body? And then after that conversation, it really it debunked a lot of the feelings that I was having. And oftentimes those assumptions are far more worse than what reality really is, right? So just talking to our kids. And then lastly, just sharing my life. Probably with most moms, you can relate that when your kids, I don't care when they're younger and they fall and hurt, normally they're running to mom. At least that's how it's been. Like, when they're right, your husband's in the kitchen and you're sitting right here and they're like, Mom, I'm thirsty. Your dad's right in the kitchen. So you're normally the one they come and run to. Your feet aren't broken. And even as adults, that has not changed, I have found out. You're still the one they're running to first. But we're not meant to do this alone. So definitely my husband is, I'll go to him like, this is how I'm feeling about this situation. Recently, I was getting concerned, Nina's at the age where, she has an interest and she wants to date. And my gut reaction was like, oh, this ain't right timing. It's not the right person. You're not ready. And I go to him and he's more of this calm. He has a calming voice. He gives me a different perspective. His awareness on things. I'll think I'm coming to him because he's gonna like buy into where I'm at, and he'll be totally on the opposite side. I'm like, really? That's how you see this? And but I'm grateful for that, to have that. But also friends that I can call and they can just bring me back to God, bring me back to the scripture, and help me with my own heart in the situation. And Another sister mentioned memorizing scriptures. I'll tell you this, it's not something I'm good at, but having something stored up in your heart to where when you feel like you're kind of spiraling in that area of emotional, losing it, that you have something you can lean on quickly. Me is just my journal that I can go back and open and read the scripture or seek one out. Yeah, so with all that said, I just have to remind myself, and I think Audrey said, like, God knows so much better for our children than we do. He has their best interests in mind. So although there may be times like what my heart desires for my children is not necessarily what, you know, God has in store for them, but that, you know, his desire for them is always, you know, at the heart. The desire that he has for them is way far more better than what mine is for them. So that's very comforting to me. So that's it.
Yay.